What's good, y'all? It is insanely hot. It is 110 degrees at 112 or something like that here in Cali. It is officially Arizona or hell. I cannot tell the difference. So I'm gonna fuck with my own head here. I'm just gonna go ahead and do this video without the fan on, with the door closed, and I'm just gonna torture myself to do this video for you guys. Real quick before I get started, about my last video I uploaded, I want to apologize if I came off a little bit vain, conceited, and just arrogant when I was talking about my body, like at the beginning of that video. I didn't mean that, oh, I'm in good shape, I got the body someone wish they could have, blah, blah, blah. I don't mean like someone needs to have my body, like my body's not, I'm not like trying to compliment myself. What I was trying to say was, I'm lucky I have a healthy body that's not prone to weight gain or anything overly unhealthy like obesity or anything. So that's what I was trying to say. I wasn't trying to say I'm so sorry. Holy shit, I don't know how that happened, but I just got like phlegm or something. It's freaking like creeping up my goddamn throat, like something was living in there or something. I don't know. Anyway, so I wanted to apologize for coming off maybe a little too harsh as well. I didn't want to come off like I was judging anybody. I didn't want to come off like I was talking myself up or anything. I have people who are, I'm sure, overweight who watch my videos. That's not a problem. I mean, it's not a problem to me. I don't care about fat people. Like, I'm fine with fat people or overweight people. It's just, I think it's a societal issue at large. It's a societal issue at large, the issue of obesity, and especially morbid obesity. It's something societally, something needs to change for that to dwindle and resolve itself, you know what I mean? So anyway, so I was meaning to the topic of this video, I was meaning to write in my journal and plan out what I was going to say in this video before I just went ahead and said it. But I'm just said, fuck it. I'm just going to say it because the way I work best is when I'm spontaneous and I just let it spew out. I just spew it out, say it for what it is, get it out of my system. No planning whatsoever. I'm a genius at improvising. At least I think I am sometimes. I don't know. I'm just like a weird person people just watch because I got nothing else to watch, most likely. Especially the influx of people thinking I'm a dude watching me. They're probably just watching me because I'm bored and they think I'm a fucking tranny. So, anyway, so I wanted to go into my experience, all the time that I was transitioning and whatever that is, and using testosterone while in the process of grieving my brother's death and my brother dying at the time, and the way that trauma and the grief and the testosterone all concocted and combined and mixed together to create the fucked up brain that I have now, to create the emotions that I lack now, or the lack of emotional range that I suffered with for so many years. Things have gotten a lot better. I have gotten more and more in touch with myself and my emotions and my, I guess, previous emotional range since I went off testosterone, and I have not really been able to process the grief in the way that I feel like I should be able to or should be allowed to. Since going off testosterone, I'm still kind of lacking in that aspect and that facet, but for the most part, it's like I'm slowly healing. Like, my mind is healing, my emotions are healing, my thoughts are healing. My emotional regulation is healing itself. It's getting better, and a lot of that has to do with the decisions I've made. All the shit food I've been eating, I also gotta apologize. I've been eating lots of shit food, and I was talking about obesity and shit. I'm not perfect, guys. I fuck up all the time. You're gonna fuck up. I'm gonna fuck up. Everyone's gonna fuck up, and, just like talking myself up, and I shouldn't have been in that video. I don't know why I brought that up. But going back to what I was saying, so things have gotten better over the years, but I'm still not where I feel like I should be. I still deal with numbness. I still deal with dissociation. I don't believe in dissociative disorders. I don't believe in mental health disorders. Honestly, I'll talk more about that in the future, but I would say that. But like, I deal with dissociation and numbness and just feeling disconnected from myself and from my thoughts when I try to think about what I went through in the process of losing my sibling, and this horrible few years that I went through, from 2014 to when I went off testosterone, and years before that, the first few years after my brother had died, and we're still dealing with it. My mom especially is, it's torment every day for her. But for me, my way of coping at the time, plus the introduction of testosterone into my body by my own volition, it did something to my head, to my emotions, to the emotional part of my brain. My limbic system was in a very drastic and serious way affected in a negative way, and I'm still dealing with it. It's still, like I said, I'm trying to think as best I can. Oh, it's so hot. But I will tell you, going through all that, it totally feels like my emotional range went from like normal females, because females are naturally more emotional than men because of our larger limbic systems in our brain and the different wiring we have. It's not the tendency is not the tyranny, but it's a fact. Okay, this is kind of like the female brain, the way the female brain works, tightly packed in, kind of fluid, kind of a little bit restless, kind of a little bit all over the place or something. This is my brain, right? And then this is like what happened with the testosterone. It just started to kind of crack and become hardened and rigid and like unmoving, and it just went like this and locked up. I felt locked up inside, like my brain locked up, my heart locked up, my soul locked up, my spirit locked up. Everything just went like this into what felt like a hard stone. And my heart, it lost my flesh of my heart. And the testosterone, I've talked about the rage issues. I talk about, the emotional instability, the bipolar symptoms, the rage. The rage was horrible, and I just felt like a fucking sociopath. That might not happen to everybody. That might not have happened to everybody who's now detransitioned, who went through testosterone years or treatment, or I don't know if it's called a treatment. It's kind of medically unnecessary, but so not everyone's going to go through that or has gone through that, but I definitely did. And plus, on top of that, I have a brain injury. My brain cannot really handle foreign shit going into it. I don't really use substances. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do shit anymore. Testosterone's a hard drug. Okay, it's a hard fucking drug. It's a hard fucking drug. Okay, there's a reason they're trying to stop people from like using steroids and everything, because it's a fucking hard drug and it affects your body like a hard drug. And so my brain just could not handle all that, and all the symptoms I had from testosterone use, they all went up into the extreme range because of the brain injury I probably have. It's just sensitivity. It's probably also a genetic thing, just sensitivity to things. I know my dad is sensitive to things, and so is my mom. So I don't really know what it is. I probably got a double whammy, plus the fucking brain injury. Thanks, fucking God, or whoever fucking put me into this existence. Give me all these unnecessary issues, or whatever the hell. I don't even know if I want to call it an issue, but so I've had a lot of horrible things kind of done to my brain over the years, and it's affected me still to this day. And I'm analyzing and thinking about everything I went through, and all those years that I thought I was dealing with because of grief and loss and trauma for my brother's death was actually caused by testosterone, more than anything, I think. And I remember going to school, and this is high school. I'm like almost 24 now, and this is like 7-8 years ago or something. Going into high school, dead inside, my emotions numbed, can't cry. Every time I try to cry, my body does weird shit, like I'll start yawning, I'll stop breathing, I'll stop, just weird shit, right? That I can't let out my emotions, or I get angry, or I get frustrated, or I just feel like someone's taking dosing me up with something in my veins, go straight to my brain, don't feel anything, don't feel any emotions, don't feel sadness. It's just a dull, throbbing ache of pain in my heart, in my head, and I can't release it. It's locked up inside of me, like 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 I fell into concrete, and it's just hardened around me. I can't break through it. Um, and I went to school like that. I didn't make any friends hardly at all. I failed all my subjects. I got like no high school GPA at this point. I'm being honest with you. I was pretty much almost like a loser in high school. Not I want to say a loser, but like I was a dropout basically. I did in a way almost drop out. I went to an online schooling program because I couldn't make it out of high school on my own. Just going there, I was better off. You know, I was better off not going putting myself through what I went through with transitioning. Obviously, um, I mean, I don't know what would have been good for me honestly at that point because I couldn't even see a viable future for myself. I couldn't feel anything. All I felt was anxiety, anger, and fear, and depression. And that's all I felt. And people could say, well, you're dealing with mental illness or this or that. I dealt with suicidal thoughts that I didn't have until testosterone and shit like that. And this didn't all happen like right after my brother died either. This actually got worse over a period of time the longer I was on that shit. And having my brother die and everything really, it's like an intensified. It's like there's this feedback between the testosterone use and the trauma and the grief. We're just kind of feeding back on each other, and the testosterone was enforcing that feedback, enforcing the neurological upheaval and instability that was happening in my brain from having a tragedy happen. The testosterone was just worsening all those feelings and all that instability and pain and anguish and suffering. Like it just made everything worse. And that that's something that I've really been wanting to talk about for a long time. It's something that I've been wanting to really get out there in the open because my life was. I'll talk about it so it's a little more linear in another video, but like this is important shit to share. This is very personal shit to share. It might not be appropriate to everybody. Everyone might think that's like, well, keep it to yourself. Nobody cares, or I'm uncomfortable, or put a trigger warning. Fuck trigger warnings. Life ain't fucking safe, bitch. Nothing's safe. Stop believing in the illusion of safety. Or at least don't force it on me. So, anyway. So this is things that I need to share to tell you if you're going through a grieving process, if you've just lost somebody, if you have a divorce going on, if you've been violated in any way, if you just had a bad fucking time, a bad ride, stay the fuck away from steroids, let me tell you. Steroids will not make it better. They may disconnect you from your pain. They may help numb you. They might help you feel a little more confident in your situation, which is what a lot of women who go on testosterone transition, that's what happens to them. A lot of them do it like right after a tragedy. There's people that have talked about that. And the thing is, it will just make you feel more disconnected from yourself. You will actively, I feel, I'm not sure exactly, but you will develop a form of dissociation or dissociative disorder from testosterone and transitioning and trying to become a person that you just are not on a biological level. So this is something you really need to keep in mind if you're wanting to go down that route, which I hope you don't, because you need your health of your body and your mind to live sustainably and optimally. And I think it just comes from a place of self-hatred, and and then that testosterone just makes it worse. And if you're going through trauma, you're probably going to lose yourself in it. You're probably going to develop more cognitive impairments than you're already dealing with because of your situation. I don't want to say impairments, but cognitive upheaval, and it's just going to make the issue worse. And it just got worse and worse and worse. I could not process my feelings. I could not process my grief. I still cannot. I feel like every time I try to think about my brother, I just feel disconnected. I feel disconnected from myself and my own feelings that belong to me, that I have a right to have, that are inherent to my natural, normal human female functioning. Men are also very emotional. I'm not saying they aren't, and men obviously need as much expression as women need. But what I'm saying is, when your limbic system, when your brain is designed for that, it's really essential you have it. And it's just broken my heart. I feel like I'm a robot. I feel like I'm sociopathic. I feel like something was taken from me that should not have been. I think it's something that's been taken from me that I need in order to live a healthy life. I need my heart and my soul need my emotions. I need to be able to process this, and I just can't. It's just locked away inside me. And the key got thrown out somewhere, and I'm out around looking for it. I don't cry easily. I still have an issue with crying. Maybe it's just because of the shit I went through when I was growing up, learning that crying was really not okay, and it stressed other people out, and other people didn't want to deal with it. It was an inconvenience, or it was an offense or an assault on other people. So it's like, I don't want to fucking cry, because I don't want to take that risk of being assaulted emotionally or hurt emotionally, or just being having my feelings disregarded, or being felt like I'm just a pain in the ass or an inconvenience to people, because I'm just human, or I'm being what the fuck I was born as. Like, I don't deserve that, but I can't be real. I feel like I can't be real with people, and I think that's part of the problem. That's part of what fuels this issue, obviously. But another issue is just, you know, I did something to myself that has probably permanently altered my neurology and the way that I think and the way that my brain processes grief and emotions and loss. I feel like it's just like I get doped up in my brain. My brain dopes me up. I could think back on when my dog died, and I was literally in the back watching him die, and I couldn't feel anything. Like, I was not even in that room. It was just dying, and my brain just freaking took me and threw me out of my own body. I was not in there. I was floating around somewhere else. I was numbed up. Someone put morphine in me somewhere, and that's how I felt. It was my emotions. Just fuck it. I just split, and everyone else is crying and sobbing and everything. And this is right after I decided to go off and stop testosterone. So that's part of the reason why. Because I remember after my cat died, when I found him out in the road, fortunately, I was a lot more emotional for a lot longer than after my dog died. And I had my dog longer than my cat. Midnight's the dog, Kitty's the cat. And so with Midnight, it's like, I think the reason I couldn't grieve right was because there was still testosterone in my system, and my emotional range was not where it needed to be. The shifting in my brain needed to go back to being what it naturally was in its natural form, unalterated by chemicals, synthetic, bioidentical fucking male steroid hormones, and just get that fucking poison out of my system. Had to work its way out, and once it did that, I've been more whole since. But I'm still looking for that one thing. That one thing is gonna make me feel more human, and I feel more human as I go along. But it just doesn't feel the same. It just doesn't. Let's move over here. And then just thinking back after, like, my brother died, I felt like I had died, and then I was like a zombie, still moving around in a body, but my soul had died and was taken outside my body for a little while, and has come back slowly, settled in place in my body. But the physical symptoms after my brother died, I remember having severe stomach aches that went away after my brother died. But I remember just even looking at the sky, light backgrounds, looking at patterns, leaves, just trying to feel grounded in reality, and everything just hurt. My eyes hurt. My head hurt. My heart, my body hurt. My body felt heavy. I felt like I had a parasite in my brain. that was rooting itself in there and causing a cancer or becoming a physical embodiment of cancer that took up all the space in my body. And this is probably also testosterone that did this to me. You know, I'm not saying I don't know for sure, but I think it would definitely contributed to it. Um, I remember just like everything inside just hurt. I felt like that reptilian part of my brain was like, I want to curl up in the dark. I don't want to see nothing. I don't want to feel nothing. I don't want to be a part of anything. I just want to go to sleep, and I want to wait till this wave washes over of life and then just die. That's what it feels like. Um, and that kind of feeling of numbness, because it's like I felt like I was half asleep. I felt like I was surviving for so long after my brother died, like so long, and I felt so like I was a shell inside. And weirdly enough, the dysphoria almost went totally away during this point. You think like just starting out, transitioning, you're like dysphoric and you hate yourself and you hate your body, and you want it all to end. And I started testosterone when my brother died. I started testosterone 4 days before my brother died, and I just stayed on. I don't know, but like I just stopped caring. I didn't feel dysphoric. I remember I tried to like force the feeling, I think, but I look back on I genuinely wasn't, though. I wasn't genuinely dysphoric. I had so many other things going on, and I just went through the motions of it. Didn't even experience any kind of happiness or euphoria that they talk about on testosterone. In fact, it just made me feel heavy. It made me feel heavy. It made me feel anchored in a way. It made me feel like there was wet sand in my brain and I couldn't think straight. And that's how it was for a long time. And I don't know if I have what you could call ADHD symptoms or whatever. I think it's a brain injury, but I have a hard time kind of being present. I have a hard time, sometimes concentrating or focusing for long periods of time. Sometimes it can be an issue at my job at times. It's better than it was when I first started, but I'm sorry if I'm all over the place. I'm trying to hurry up and just get this video done so I don't have to sit here in the heat anymore. I could turn my fucking fan on. But I didn't know if it was gonna affect the audio, which it probably wouldn't have, but So anyway, yeah, so what was I just talking? I don't know. I'm just gonna go back to testosterone. I never felt euphoric on testosterone, or only times I did was when I was manic, or that weird up phase I was getting when I wasn't morbidly wanting to fucking die, and horrible like deep depression, deep feelings of anguish. And after using testosterone, I was suicidal, especially when I took Prozac. It made it worse. And it's like still couldn't cry, still couldn't feel anything. I mean, everything was like a dull throbbing in my head. I felt like a dull throbbing of like emotions trying to escape out of my brain, out of my body, out of this hard locked in fucking rock that it was all stuffed in, and it's still trying to release itself. I can feel it, but that's what it feels like. It feels like, or what it felt like. It's like everything inside me was like, it's like it's trying to get out. There's like a throbbing, a pulsing. It's like a wound, and a wound is sitting there doing that throbbing, like a heartbeat, but it won't heal. It's like that all the time, but it won't heal. That's what it felt like with my emotions. They're trying to get out, but they can't come out. The healing's trying to happen, but it won't heal. And I can say that it has gotten better, like I said, but there's still that throbbing happening. And it back in the day, it was just destroying me. It's the worst feeling. There is no worse feeling than being numb and not being able to feel. There's nothing worse than feeling like you're sociopathic. Excuse me. There's nothing worse than feeling like the human part of you has died, the emotional part of you has died, and you're living like your brain is half asleep, like something just isn't firing right in your head, and you just live like that, and you just survive, and you go through the motions. You're dissociated and numbed, and you're trying to escape the pain. I mean, that's my self-defense mechanism now. My defense mechanism is just numbing myself and dissociating from stress and pain and grief. If something bad happened, like my brother's brother died, and that's I reacted the exact same way. I was crying, but it just was, the dull throbbing was there, but it wouldn't come out. Like, it was just another whole episode of dissociation or whatever. People can sit there and call that a disorder. It's a trauma response. That's what it is. Now I just have this carrying around me inside me, and I can't, and then I have to deal with it. And it sucks, and there's nothing worse. I would rather cry my fucking heart out and be miserable and vulnerable, but in a way I feel like I can't because of my upbringing, first of all. Second of all, I think my brain has retained some level of the testosterone and the shaping of the emotional center in the brain, the limbic system. I think that's still got its hold on me to some degree, and I think it's just a trauma response. It really is. Everybody has their way of dealing with things. Some people go to drugs, some people go to porn, some people go to food, sex, video games, social media, technology addiction, or emotional addictions. Mine was an emotional addiction. It was emotionally escaping, shutting down inside, and numbing myself. That was my way of dealing with it. And I still do that to myself, and it really sucks. I try to do things to like trigger something, and sometimes I can just sit there and cry if I think about something that's sad enough. But like it's slow coming out. It's slow coming. It's slow moving. There's no longer that feeling of slow death inside me, or just like being alive but asleep dead. Like that feeling's gone. Thank God. Um, but I'm just not the same. I'm not the same person. My perception of things has been totally warped. Um, Life lost its color. Um, I feel like I'm not as present. I feel like a part of me just wants to depersonalize. I went through a panic attack, and suddenly all that trauma that I had dealt with, was when I smoked a little bit too much weed out of a bong, or a zong. It's still up here. No, it just looks cool up on my desk. It's part of my little habitat on my desk. But I smoked too much weed out of a zong, a bong, and I gave myself a panic attack. I felt outside my body, and then I was questioning too much, and then that just sent me into a spiral of panic attack pretty badly, and then from that point on I depersonalized. But I was also on testosterone. I'd also eventually started Prozac for 4 days, and then threw me into suicidal black depression anguish. And so it's understandable, like, all that shit going on in my brain, and especially the testosterone, like, that, no wonder I had that panic attack, and then from that point forward, my brain never forgot the feeling of not feeling real, feeling like I was in a matrix, feeling like I could feel my ghost inside my own body, sort of feeling. But all this going on is just like me hallucinating everything. It was fucked up. But yeah, that's part of like a lot of the traumas I suffered from, and I just moved around the world. I feel like there's a vignette over everything, and I'm just spectating it like I'm watching a movie, a fucked up movie or something, and it's just slow, and you can't get out of the theater because the movie just keeps going on and on and on forever, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be alive. That's like the problem. I'm fucking alive, and I have to watch myself being alive, but I'm not alive. I'm just, there's a little me inside my head watching this all happen, but I'm not experiencing it. It's just random flashes of color and shapes and weird changes, transitions in scenery, but that's about it. you know, and that's what it feels like when you're grieving. For me, when I was grieving my brother's death while on testosterone and dealing with trauma, that was what I was dealing with. So I could talk more about this. This is as much as I'm gonna do. I'm already at 30 minutes. Y'all just gotta realize, you know, you can't run from yourselves. You can't run from your pain, and when you try to do it, it adds more pain, and a different kind of pain that you won't be necessarily prepared for, because nobody knows what's really gonna happen to anybody going on this shit. You know, and I've already talked about this. I'm repeating myself, but here's the thing: nobody knows, and my brain was not wired to deal with large amounts of testosterone ruling and taking over and enforcing everything hormonally like testosterone. I wasn't meant to deal with that. So my brain short-circuited in an already vulnerable time, a horrible, tragic time, a time that will forever change who I am. You know, I'll never have the perception I used to have before my brother died. You know, I was very young. I was like 14, 15. And I will never be able to get that back. And, you know, adding fucking horrible shit on top of that, injecting shit into my body that wasn't meant to be there didn't help anything. And it just deepened the issue, made it worse. You know, that's the problem. Like, it's really a tragedy. It's really taking advantage of sick people to put them through this when they've already been through so much shit. And they need to heal from it. They don't need a Band-Aid solution that will eventually kill them prematurely, I think. You know. You know, female, I wasn't meant to have to go through that. You know, it was so alien. It was so foreign. And this probably happens to men, too, who go on testosterone or any hormone replacement therapy. There's been lawsuits about this shit. I haven't gone and read any of it, but I've heard about it. But I can understand why. Because of what I went through. Just because, you know, they say things about, like, estrogen. What estrogen does, synthetic fake estrogen does to the female body. And yet, you know, then it's just all hunky-dory when men use it. You know, it's like that these horrible chemicals and these hormones and shit do terrible things to your body. And it doesn't even have to be the opposite sex hormones. It can be your own hormones. But I think that men have suffered really bad side effects from this shit too, and I just wish there would be some that came out about it and talked about it like what I'm doing. You know, hopefully, if there's men who are watching this by any chance, and you've needed testosterone replacement therapy and you've had bad side effects, please leave comments, contact me, or, you know, just share your story, because I want to know. I went through hell, and I'm a woman. I'm a woman who went through hell on testosterone. And, you know, there has to be men who've been through this too. There's women who've been on estrogen and went through hell as well. I mean, this shit's not meant for our bodies, you know? But we're gonna, like, you know, whatever. I'm going off on a tangent. Anyway, but my point still stands. Please share your story. That's all I wanted to talk about. I know I'm not really at my best right now. It's like 112 outside and it's seeping into my room. I can't get away from it. I feel like I want to tear my skin off. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you got something out of it. This is very personal, but I wanted to talk about it because a lot of people go and they do this shit to themselves while they're grieving, and they just had a tragedy and a loss, and they're too numbed up inside to really see what they're doing and why they're doing what they're doing. What are the underlayers, the underpinnings of why they're choosing to do this, right? Like, we need to look into that, you know, because, you know, so many people are suffering. Anyway, love y'all. Bye.